thing about art is that, well, people say that successful art is, anything that makes you feel something. And I think that's kind of garbage. I think a lot of things make you feel. If you build a likable character and kill them off, or have a villain kick a puppy, I mean, it makes you feel, but so what? It's just, I don't think that's a useful description. I think successful art is art that's trying to say something. It has a thesis and a conclusion and an opinion. If it doesn't make you think, then I don't think it's successful. And I don't think that's the fault of the author. I don't think that means that whatever media was produced is bad. I don't know. It didn't work. It didn't do the thing it was trying to do. This series, playing Minecraft, this isn't that for me. I mean, I don't know, it kind of is. But in my mind, the actual product, the thing that I want to communicate, everything that I'm doing, is the world itself. And depending on how well I build and create, that'll determine if this is a success. If it's something that I can really be proud of. Welcome to Limbo, everybody. This is the place where the dead first come into hell, and this is the place where the spirits of depression, grief, and mourning stay. Obviously, I got this idea from God's #1 fanfic writer, Dante Alighieri. Now, okay, so in Inferno, Dante gets lost in the woods and winds up in hell, but Limbo, the first layer, is like where all the good non-Christians go. Doesn't matter how good they were, this is where they all go. Honestly, that seems a little harsh, but I digress. The point is Gustave Dore. This guy is brilliant, and I've always adored his work. Now, after Paradise Lost, Satan got his sexy bad boy image, and honestly, I don't think anyone does it quite like Gustave Dore. Except potentially Alexandre Cabanel, because, I mean, come on, but... Look, the point is this. This wood carving, this work by Gustave Dore, was the thing that rewired my brain, and from it, Limbo was born. A garden, park in the center of a metropolis. Now, Dante was part of the crowd that blames victims of depression, and I'm not going to get into that, but I was fascinated by the idea of a hell defined by depression. My hell, this underworld, was not actually designed to be this sad. It was designed to be a rehabilitation center. But all the demons who worked here are gone, and on Earth, death still happens, so humans still end up here, with no one to guide them or give them counseling or anything. All the people who rose from the pool, rose to undeath, they can't stop mourning. They have no motivation to do anything, so they end up here, right next to where they started, wandering the garden. That was my idea of Limbo. I kind of just imagined Central Park at night. And then I saw this video by Barse, and I was like, oh my god, that's Limbo. That's the closest thing I've ever seen to it. So that's how we ended up here. Eventually, I want to have all the areas of Hell built out. This was a map I made for D&D a long time ago. Bonus points if you know what real-world city this is. The United Kingdoms of Hell will consist of 4 major areas. The Asphodel Fasciate, Antrim, the Emirate of Nod, and Limbo. I don't know what kind of government Limbo had yet. The Glass Palace was essentially the capital building, or buildings. The Glass Palace is not actually one building, it's a complex of many different greenhouses and other research centers. It used to be used for agriculture, and then after the world ended the first time, it was converted into a government complex, since dead people don't need food. I don't know if I'll end up building everything on the map, but I wanted to have an idea of where I might end up, and jazz myself all the way there. I actually started making Limbo before I remembered that I had a map of Hell that I could kind of use as a guideline. This is the entrance greenhouse. I'm messing around with some ideas of what I want the inside to look like. I've actually worked in a couple greenhouses in my life, so the only pictures I really used for reference was this really cool, like, dilapidated one. And I thought the copper... I thought the whole thing worked really well. in the Soul Sand Valley. The problem is, in real life, greenhouses are nowhere near this big, and I don't know how to decorate the interior. If this place was used for research and propagation, this center area would have, like, walls full of shelves and planting beds, and maybe an office back there. But the whole ceiling is glass, so it wouldn't make sense to close it off, and I want to keep the kind of glass ceiling. Here was a test of kind of what I imagined. The problem is, of course, that none of this is spawn-proofed, even though this is kind of a more accurate representation of what a greenhouse would look like. A bunch of kind of waist-high tables that would have the pallets on them. But I'm gonna just try and figure that out later. And all the way back here is a crypt. Originally, this crypt was just for decoration. I wanted Limbo to kind of be like if Central Park was a cemetery, but, well, when I was down in Hell proper, I found a lovely little boy. His name was Nico. I brought him back to Earth and resurrected him, but I had trees to make, so I made a promise. You come back to Hell with me, help me out with Limbo, and once the trees are all done, I'll send you back here. Make you a little garden on Earth, and you'll never have another want. Never feel hunger or pain. Not like you did in Hell. I fell off a tree whilst building and died. I was fine, obviously. I'm immortal, but when I came back, the only thing I saw waiting for me was a harness. Nico died. This is the crypt I've dedicated to him. Now, the fates can be dodgy, but I did manage to get on the phone with them. So, me and the sisters made a deal. Nico is gone. The law of time cannot be changed, and I certainly didn't want to deal with the Furies breathing down my neck. But they told me, if I keep the promise I made to Nico, bring him back to Earth, set him in a garden, and wet soul sand with his last tear, a son will be born. Or technically, they said the word pedi, which is a gender-neutral term, but anyways, the point is, I wanted them to help arrange a malignant situation. Tie his mortality to an object or something, the way they did for him before his wife hucked his phylactery into a fire. They agreed and gave me a candle. So long as the candle stays lit, child cannot die. Classic fate stuff, you know how it is. So anyways, that means I have some work to do with data packs, and it doesn't seem like it would be too difficult to program that in. And that means that I won't just have an immortal gas friend, it can still die, just in a different way. But I'm not doing that today. Nico just died, man. I'm still worked up about it. In mourning. Which is pretty apt for where I am. I think it's now time to seal off the casket. The next time I open this, when it's exhumed, I'll bring Nico back up to Earth and maybe I'll feel less guilty about sending him here in the first place. Here we go. Poor baby Nico. That was an exhaustive preamble to the actual thing I wanted to do today. Make this greenhouse a greenhouse. I want this to be a place where I store all of my planty bits and see what I can get away with whilst making this place as mob-resistant as possible. Now, I do have my own data pack, so I have access to some pretty cool tools most people don't. But the thing about building in Hell, what makes it really fun, is that you have to abide by this spawn limitation. It can be frustrating when I just want to place some flowers, but it's fun, and I don't want to ruin my fun by just making it so that, you know, like, mobs don't spawn within this area. I really want to try and get into the button, pressure plate, and carpet of it all. So for now, I'm going to try and do as much vanilla spawn proofing as possible, and maybe down the line, I'll, you know, get some skulk and make it, like, special mob-proof spawning thing, but not yet. I want to see how much fun I can have with just trying this style. How does my greenhouse tell the story of my world? What do you immediately understand from looking at it from this view? Depending on how well I did, your answer and mine will be similar. But like I said, this video isn't a product, it's behind the scenes. This is where I get to indulge myself and tell you all the little secrets and decisions that went into making this. First of all, since Nico died, I'm not going to work on any more trees. They do need to be touched up, and you can see with this one, I tried to do some shading, but I saw that the transitory color between the azalea and regular biome leaves is just too stark. I don't really think it works. But at the same time, these ones are very flat, so I'll have to try and see what I can do with them. Oh, I did want to show you, I used pictures from Central Park to kind of get an idea of some cool trees I wanted. And this pine tree right here, I found from this picture. And this really tall tree, I also saw. This pine tree just looked really strange. It was like bent at a very extreme angle. And I really tried to do it, but the scale is so challenging, this small, that I don't know if it really worked out that well. This is supposed to be a crepe myrtle tree. I have one in my backyard and I really wanted to try and recreate it here. You also notice it's very dark here. And not just because of the nether. I mean, I didn't add any lights anywhere. The only light sources that are placed around here are the glow lichen, which barely gives anything at all. There was a draft of this place where I had replaced all of these. The grow lights inside were replaced with actual lights, but it looked too... From a distance, it felt like there were actually people that could live inside of this greenhouse, and that's not what I wanted. I didn't want this place to feel alive, which is why there aren't supposed to be any animals out here. I thought it would be really neat if I had frogs on the creek here, but then I thought, it would make this place feel too living. And the whole point of this place is that everything's dead, so I had to scrap it. I do think that the ash particles in here work really well. And I was going to put a spore blossom up here, but again, it made it feel too alive. And I really like how just the leaf particles and the ash particles contribute to this. These barrels are actually all full of things, like all of my plant storage. They kind of correspond to each little pot that I put above it. I did have to cheat to get this mushroom up here. I can't really use a pot with the brown mushroom in it because in my resource pack it looks like an inkwell, which I think is too cool to remove. So I just put that there for now, and I'll figure out something. I could not figure out what to put for the farming chest, because as far as I'm aware, there isn't like a farming material that can go inside of a pot, so I left it blank for now. And when I finally get sheaf sherds, I'm gonna put some of them in here. I was thinking about putting some dogs, but I don't know, it didn't feel very in character. Oh yeah, I should probably mention, these are petrified wood slabs that I textured to dirt. And I added a recipe. That's not vanilla, come on. Can you blame me for wanting dirt slabs? I left this room completely blank because I am waiting for testing, but I'm really happy with the way this trunk turned out. Even if the leaves are kind of mid, I think this is great. And I was imagining there was some sort of red sap that this trunk is leaking. And you'll notice it's like the same red lichen that's up on the surface in the tundra. And I'm wondering if St. Kalina, maybe she had some sort of demonic patron that blessed her or gave her this lichen species in exchange for something. I don't know, I think that's interesting. I don't know if the demon was evil or not, but I think that might add some nice drama. Overall, I think it looks pretty nice. You'll notice, I was using shaders before, but the new vanilla fog is so good. And for some reason, shaders do not appreciate people who like fog everywhere, and I really want it to be like very thick. And the new vanilla fog is so nice that I've just kind of dumped shaders altogether. I'm just gonna stick with this because having it really makes it feel so much more cinematic with it being this thick. As for the future, now that I have a map, I have a much better idea of what the land masses could look like. It'll be a little strange to have a nether hub so far from spawn, but I can't much move the glass palace now, so I'll make do. And next time, depending on how much more of the mountain I get down, I'll try and work on Nodgivas, the power planter. In addition to the greenhouse, we'll see. What I really want is a house of any kind so I can get rid of all of this garbage. Yeah, that's... Oh, this is done, actually. Yeah. After this, you should go check out Gustave Dore's work. The Internet Archive has a brilliant collection of some of his work in a PDF. And maybe you could even grab an illustrated copy of The Divine Comedy or Paradise Lost. Regardless of your religiosity, they have a bunch of cool stuff in there. And if you think hell is cool and Satan is sexy, you give it a quick scan. Bonus points if you speak Italian, because the Divine Comedy will hit very differently. Oh, yeah, see also William Bouguereau and Alexandre Cabanel, because they're also very good at their jobs. Or were. They're all dead now. Oh. Well, anyways, that's all. You can see the empty museum. Bye, everyone.